imagine one day you'll be able to...
Hello YouTube, welcome back to another episode of Dead by Day. Today we are going to try continuing to play some kills.
Track your elevation. Does it do that? Right, got it. Thank you. Heard it the first time. Encourages you to stay fit. Does that? I get it. You're fit. You know, you automatically call 911 if a bear chases you off a cliff and you take a hard fall. Yeah, already does that. Seriously? Yeah. Seriously. Okay, got it. Let's go. Imagine a day, a future, tiny device, blah, 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 that measures your blood oxygen level. No, don't you dare say it. Well, that was fun. Let's talk about floors. Floors for toddlers, floors for toys, floors for stories, floors for screams. Let us floor you at Lowe's with on-trend floors, lighting, and easy install. This is time that matters. A window of time to help protect the ones you love. Your preteen benefits from staying up to date with their well visits. This is your window of protection. Schedule their well visit now.
Duracell Optimum will be right where you need them today, tomorrow, the day after that, and the day after that, day after day. Packaging designed to make storage easier. Duracell Optimum.
161 achievements.
Police, fire, or EMS. Take a deep breath.
I'm sending the ambulance to help you out.
Take a deep breath.
Wilson hosts Emergency Call, a new reality series, premieres Monday on ABC.
Always be questions about this case that we may never have the answers to, like if Melanie McGuire did kill her husband, why did she drive more than 300 miles to get rid of his remains in the Chesapeake Bay? His friend John Rice has a theory.
Bill didn't want to move down here on the Virginia Beach. After a time, he gave up on that idea. So it almost seemed like a vindictive thing on her part to drive him down. Oh, you want to go to Virginia Beach? Here you go.
Why was it important for you to tell this story on your podcast?
A lot of people who are convicted, they'll go through the appeals process, but they won't prevail. If we can investigate this, provide any type of assistance, we're possibly remedying some of the harshest parts of our system.
There are times when podcasts and media can shine a light where what the government did was not right. This is not one of those cases. A 39-year-old man lost his life before he got to see his children grow up.
Right.
You have 2 little kids. That's the hardest part. Knowing that when I see my children, when I hug them goodbye, it could be the last time.
Ultimately, the courts would award custody to Bill's sister, Cindy Lagosh. Melanie has had no contact with them.
Today, your boys are young men. They are. Is there anything you want to say to them?
Make up your own mind. Don't accept what you're just being told on the surface. Dig.
What is your level of hope that one day you might walk out of here?
I'm terrified to hope. Because to have it thwarted in here, it's absolutely soul-crushing.
Bill McGuire was the father of 2 small children. He was a brother. He was a friend. And his life got cut short.
I think Bill deserves to be remembered as a fantastic friend. A dad led his
I hurt myself.
He didn't deserve this. Nobody deserves that. No one.
Do you think you know me? I've been down this road before. I want respect.
In just seconds on ABC 15 at 10, keeping hope and love alive. The Extraordinary Valley couple battling coronavirus together. And we expose a serial sewer back to his old tricks.
I'm Martha McSally, and I approve this message.
I've been reading about
about Mark Kelly. Turns out he's really liberal. Kelly supports a government takeover of healthcare that would raise taxes on working families by $2,300 a year. We can't afford that, but Kelly won't stop there. He'll vote with the Washington liberals for the largest tax increase in American history. Mark Kelly's tax hikes will hurt our economy and my retirement savings.
I'm Mark Kelly and I approve this message.
Martha McSally's list of lies just keeps growing. Independent sources say McSally's attack ads on Mark Kelly are a lie and desperate. But McSally's most dangerous lies are about her healthcare record. The truth? McSally voted to gut or eliminate protections for pre-existing conditions. Again and again. She voted for a plan to turn Medicare into a voucher program. And she even supported raising the retirement age. We just can't trust Martha McSally to tell the truth.
Now, on ABC 15 Arizona at 10.
A busy night of breaking news, starting with a fire and reports of possible explosions at Pacific Scientific. It's a facility located off I-10 near Wild Horse Pass Casino. The Cliff Castle chopper overhead, and according to their website, the facility specializes in pyrotechnics. We're working to gather more information about exactly what happened here tonight.
Also breaking right now, a deadly crash shutting down a freeway in the West Valley. One person killed on the southbound side of the 101. This is near Grand. It's unclear at this point what caused the crash.
Also tonight, remember this guy? He's Peter Stroynick, an attorney disbarred after the ABC 15 investigators exposed how he and a group of so-called advocates filed nearly 2,000 disability lawsuits in just a few months for things like a parking sign being a couple of inches too long.
And while he may have lost his law license, it turns out he hasn't stopped filing cases. Now businesses and attorneys tell our Dave Biscoving he's as aggressive as ever.
Stroynick, can I get a response about this incident?
Peter Stroynick didn't like our reporting much.
I do not give interviews to fake news.
The issues we exposed led to his disbarment.
You want to try and get people out there an answer?
You see what a liar you are?
But Stroynick's no quitter. He's a serial suer, and he's filed almost 200 new lawsuits in state and federal courts over disability signs, spaces, and specifications since losing his law license.
It's been about a year.
A year since Amal Walia received a demand letter from Stroynick for alleged disability access issues at his family-owned hotel along the I-17 in Phoenix. They just settled the case.
How much is he asking for? I mean, I believe it was like $7,500. Okay. But he did say that he could pursue and go much higher. Oh, so if you didn't pay, he's going to come after you for more? Yeah. How do you feel about that? It's dumb.
Stroynick's lawsuit alleged the hotel had issues like the toilet with the flusher on the wrong side and the slope of the parking lot space was 1.5 degrees instead of the required 1.48. Barriers like that, he claims, caused him physical pain and emotional damages.
Do you think he had any intention of actually staying here? No. No, like I said, he lives, what, 15 minutes away? 10 minutes away?
So how is Stroynick suing without the law license? Well, he's simply demanding money and then filing lawsuits as a regular citizen on behalf of himself, as the plaintiff, as the disabled person.
You don't have like video of him walking around the room. But there are some other people that do. Yeah.
On YouTube, one attorney has posted a handful of surveillance videos showing Stroynick inspect hotels in other states. The videos question his disabilities, which in his lawsuits, Stroynick lists a full page, including multiple that he says impair walking, standing, grasping, lifting, pushing, and more. The videos dated in 2019 and 2020.
Feels like we're playing the old arcade game Whack-A-Mole, where you get one case dismissed and you feel good about it, but 6 more pop.
I'm back.
Arizona attorney Lindsay Levitt has defended hundreds of Stroynick's past and current cases. And now that Stroynick no longer has a law license, Levitt says the irony is that Stroynick feels he has a license to do whatever he wants.
He feels, I think, more liberated than he's ever felt, because his lawsuits are more aggressive, demanding higher
you're mine now.
than he's ever demanded. And the actual claims in his lawsuits
Where's
are
I hang you?
tethered to reality and the facts and the law.
Will I hang you and stalk you?
So this is where they do business. There's another part of our previous investigation we don't want to forget. Stroynick used to sue on behalf of an organization named Advocates for Individuals with Disabilities, or AID. We brought an ADA expert and found their own headquarters grossly out of compliance. This is how 2 AID execs responded when we pointed it out.
You don't think that maybe that you should hold yourselves to the same standards as the places you guys are suing?
you guys like to eat?
But that was the past. This is now. Stroinik is still at it. Law license or not, there's little to stop his lawsuits.
But then the worst part is, like, disability is a real thing, right? Like, some of those laws, like, yeah, they should be, made passed. For a good reason. Exactly.
Now in 2 California federal courts, Stroinik has been officially labeled a vexatious litigant. Basically, he's been stated by the court as someone who files frivolous claims and can't file new ones without permission. It's the only way to really slow Stroinik down. Now, the attorney you heard from tonight, Lindsay Levitt, he says he's currently working on a move to label Stroinik a vexatious litigant here in our state. I'm investigator Dave Biscuit, ABC 15, Arizona.
In an email statement, Peter Stroinik telling us, quote, segregation of persons with disabilities is the last vestige of socially acceptable discrimination. Fortunately, today's political climate, general polity, and the media perpetuate the conscious indifference to the fundamental human rights of the disabled.
Let's get to our wildfire watch now. Buildings up in flames as a fast-moving fire spreads in the North Valley. This one is called the Sears Fire. It just jumped to 5,200 acres on the Cave Creek Ranger District. Neighbors in the Sears Cay Ranch area told to evacuate earlier. It's unclear what sparked the flames at this point. No reports of anyone getting hurt in this.
A new round of protests breaking out tonight in Louisville and other cities across the country, demanding justice for Breonna Taylor. Groups taking to the streets for a third night after a grand jury decided not to charge 3 officers directly with Taylor's death. Earlier, at a news conference, Taylor's aunt reading a statement written by Breonna's mother.
The system as a whole has failed her. You didn't just rob me of my family, you robbed the world of a queen.
The family calling on Kentucky's Attorney General to release the
Hours, President Trump will officially announce his Supreme Court nominee, but we already have a pretty good idea of who it's going to be. The president intends to nominate Amy Coney Barrett to replace Ruth Bader Ginsburg. That's according to multiple sources familiar with the selection process. Barrett is a federal judge, and with Election Day approaching, her selection will set up what promises to be a bitter confirmation fight.
That news coming as the nation honors the late Ruth Bader Ginsburg in a week full of tributes wrapping up with an historic moment. The Supreme Court Justice becoming the first woman to lie in state at the U.S. Capitol. Joe Biden among those seen paying their respects. Ginsburg will be buried next week at Arlington National Cemetery. New video from Phoenix now as we also honor the first female justice on the Supreme Court. Schools in our state observing Sandra Day O'Connor's Civics Celebration Day, and these images coming from Madison Camelview Elementary. Students creating this special signage to mark the occasion.
Now to your voice, your vote, and the Maricopa County Recorder taking a battle between state leaders to court. Adrian Fontes asking a judge to decide how counties should be allowed to accommodate voters who need help voting during the pandemic. This comes after Secretary of State Katie Hobbs pushed a plan to allow people currently in the hospital or in a nursing home to vote by video conferencing or other unique options. As for Fontes, he spoke about this exclusively with ABC 15.
I just want to get voters voting, and I'd like the courts to let me know what the rules are so we can apply them and make sure we get the job done.
Meantime, Governor Ducey argues the Secretary of State's plan should not be allowed, and some fellow Republicans calling it an attempt to change the rules way too late in the game.
The latest now on COVID-19 as 2 of Arizona's counties could be headed back into the red category for transmission of the virus. That could have an impact on schools and businesses. As ABC 15's Nicole Grigg reports, this news comes right before big decisions for parents and teachers.
Flagstaff Unified School District will learn remotely through fall break. Leaders there are expected to discuss the return of in-person learning within the next 2 weeks. But the question is, will they be put on pause with cases going up? Coconino County telling us they have received information from the state health department that the county will likely be moving back into the red for community transmission. However, they say they await measures.
The expectation is there.
Let's continue next.
Governor Jeff Ducey making it clear on Thursday that the economy, schools, and tourism are open. But the state's own guidance from August 10th says businesses like restaurants and bars in the red should be closed.
To me, standards are standards, you know? And if you're going to set standards, you should use them.
But if you decide that you don't like your standards, then change them.
The state's former top public health director, Will Humboldt, says the state needs to be clear on what the standards are for the public and especially businesses.
They need to plan for staffing. They need to
the more I play, the more like I probably will be able to get better at this. So.
And if they're going to get shut down suddenly, they need to know that in advance. And one of the ways you would know that is by looking at the standards that have been developed. And so that's why it's important that if you're going to have standards, to be clear about what they mean.
The governor's office telling me that guidance was put in place back in August to drive down the numbers, and that guidance was when we were in a different place. Along with Coconino County, Pima County is also expected to move back into the red. In Phoenix, Nicole Gray, Arizona.
Apartment complex chaos. A stolen car ends in a police shooting with neighbors watching on.
Thank you.
I'm Claudia Rinsich, and tonight I'll introduce you to a Valley couple that's been married for 70 years, and not even COVID could keep them apart. They're inspiring.
Now stay there and keep quiet.
The fair called off, but the food's still a hot ticket item, and this event proving to be even more popular than expected.
ABC 15 News, sponsored by Bayless Integrated Healthcare.
I hear you.
In the emergency room, I never asked if my patients were Democrats or Republicans, because politics doesn't belong in our healthcare. We can protect coverage for pre-existing conditions and give people the option to keep their insurance or buy into Medicare. And we should create our own medical supply chain to produce what we need at home. As a doctor, I took an oath to put my patients first, and I'll do the same in Congress. I'm Dr. Hero Tabernetti, and I approve this message.
Thank you for doing that twice.
Here in Arizona, this Martha McSally said she'd protect Medicare. But out in Washington, there's another Martha McSally. That Martha McSally voted to cut nearly $500 billion from Medicare and eliminate guaranteed coverage for seniors. The Wall Street Journal said the plan McSally backed would essentially end Medicare. Martha McSally, you can't believe a thing she says here when you look at what she does there. The SEC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Public service is in my blood. My grandfather was a firefighter. My parents are both police officers, and my brother and I were EMTs in high school. It didn't come as a surprise when I went to the Merchant Marine Academy and later served in the Navy and at NASA. After 4 space flights and 39 combat missions in Operation Desert Storm, I never expected to be running for office. When I see the selfishness and fighting in Washington, I've got to step up and answer the call. I'm Mark Kelly, and I approve this message.
In the Marine Corps, your word is your honor. Well, Martha McSally's word doesn't mean much at all. She took $600,000 from the insurance industry and voted to let them deny care for people with pre-existing conditions. Now, she's lying about it, saying she'll protect us when everyone knows she turned her back on us. There's no honor in that. As a veteran, it makes me sick.
Come back. I need you.
Read the fine print in Prop 208? Prop 208 contains the biggest permanent tax increase in Arizona history. But what Prop 208 doesn't do is guarantee how much money will actually reach the classroom. Just 55 cents of every dollar we spend makes it to the classroom. And Arizona spends $1 billion on administration and overhead. Prop 208, a massive tax increase with no guarantees. Read the fine print.
That's it, stay down.
No on Prop 208.
I'm a former Navy SEAL. When 9/11 happened, I dropped out of school and I went and joined the Navy. If we're going to get this country back on track, our leaders need to quit playing it safe. They're going to have to actually lead. And I don't see guys like Mark Kelly doing that.
He's gone quiet because he's a part of this nonsense.
That bothers me to see other veterans going along with the mob and destroying this country. We should all go out and support the candidate who's going to be a fighter when times are tough. And that's why I support Martha McSally.
I'm Martha McSally, and I approve this message.
A stolen car, multiple traffic stops, and a police shooting, leaving a man dead. It is a developing story tonight.
All of this spanning 2 valley cities. It started at the Panda Express near Dobson and the Loop 202. A man found slumped over inside a stolen car, and when Mesa officers gave him commands, he took off, speeding away toward Tempe. That's when the officers tracked into a parking lot in an apartment complex near University in Downson. A witness describes what happened next.
A bunch of cops just started rushing in, and unmarked cars and marked cars. And as soon as we came around the corner, we just heard like 8 gunshots.
Police say they told the guy to surrender, but in the end, they were forced to open fire, killing the man. No officers were hurt.
Noon tonight, neighbors given a second chance to sound off on a proposed rate hike by APS, the second of 6 public comment sessions, wrapping up just a short time ago. So here's what's being discussed. The utility wants to add another $184 million from its customers, which would cause rates to rise. The idea met with criticism from many across the valley.
I understand wanting to turn a profit, but this is too much. This is extreme, and those who have spoken before me, their stories demonstrate that fact.
Well, the process far from over. The calendar showing 4 more of these public meetings throughout the rest of the year. Next one for you is coming up on Wednesday. New at 10, just a heartwarming story. A Valley couple who's been married for 70 years isn't even letting COVID keep them apart. These 2 are still at Banner Hospital in Sun City West. They're recovering. Our Claudia Rubson spoke to them virtually from their hospital room.
Dorothy and Howard Smith have been through a lot in their 7 decades of marriage. And that includes both getting COVID-19. But they're both still smiling, hand in hand.
Together we stand.
Dorothy and Howard Smith are always together. It's been that way forever.
He sleeps with my hand in his hand all night long. Take basically in the bed, hold this hand. He lays here in the bed, holding my hand, wants to hold my hand. He's a hand holder. He's a lover.
Last week, Dorothy, who's 88, was admitted to the hospital.
I could not breathe. I was gasping for air.
Howard will be 90 soon. He had a bad cough and also ended up testing positive for COVID.
That's how we got in the same room, which was unheard of. Nobody ever heard of that. So we've been side by side.
Side by side since they were in high school. They're 2 men in their teens.
And he said, would you go to the senior prom with me? And I looked at him and I said, I would go with you. You were the last boy in the world. That just got him. All got him going. That was a challenge for him, he said.
And he was up for it. They got married on July 22nd, 1950. They're just as in love today as they were back then.
He loves me. Oh my goodness. He tells me that 1,000 times a day how much he loves me. He wouldn't even be here if it wasn't for me. He'd be dead. So he gets me credit for keeping him alive all these years. So I appreciate that.
It hasn't all been perfect. They've had rough times and health issues.
But we always got through it. Always.
And Dorothy says it's been a blast.
We travel all over the place, to the beach, to the parks, to anywhere we could go.
You're going to be sacrificed.
We had a lot of fun.
They'll both be going to a facility for rehab next. And
Goodbye.
Dorothy told me they'll both be in the same room next to each other. I'm Claudia Rubson, ABC 15 Arizona.
Fair Food Frenzy, a drive-through event in Phoenix ending 90 minutes early tonight because of high demand. Too many people showed up. The Cliff Castle chopper flying over the state fairgrounds earlier as cars snaked their way around the parking lot. A wide variety of vendors sitting in booths and serving up some of those fair favorites. The event does pick up again tomorrow, and in case you're wondering, as of 4 this afternoon, fair officials told us the average wait time was about 40 minutes for fried dough, Megan.
I think it makes a lot of sense for some people, right? And when it comes to your most accurate forecast, sitting in your car, the air conditioning was likely pumping as you were sitting there for all that time, because today we were well above average. We hit 105 at Phoenix Sky Harbor, the average 97 degrees, so we're nearly 10 degrees above average for this time of year when we're talking about the Arizona State Fair and the first week of fall. So here's why. It's a ridge of high pressure that's sitting over us. We were actually forecasting even higher temperatures in that 7-day, but a storm system to our northeast that's just going to clip by our state is cooling us down just a little bit. So here is the trending downward trajectory that we are tracking for your temperatures. So we'll come tomorrow, 103 for you, then 102 on Sunday. We'll stay there until Monday before we drop to about 100 degrees on Tuesday. So we're not in those triple digits, but there's some hope in sight after a day like today. When it comes to tomorrow for your Saturday to get your weekend going, here's the temperatures for you and the wind speeds. We'll stay in the 80s through most of the morning, 97 degrees right around that noon hour, 101 by 2 p.m. and 103 by 4 p.m. Your winds calm about 5 to 10 miles per hour max here in the valley, so it'll stay calm. Gusts, though, in northern Arizona could reach 30 miles per hour, so keep that in mind. The overnight temperatures in the morning.
Come here, let me find a hook so you can
54 in Heber,
rest in
53 in
peace.
Shalom, and 56 degrees in Prescott overnight. 38 the Grand Canyon, and the 70s
There
to
you
the
are.
west along the Colorado
Rest in
River
peace.
Valley. Tomorrow, the forecast high statewide, 80 in Flagstaff, 92 in Winslow, 94 in Globe, 102 for you in Quartzsite. We're looking at 103 here in Phoenix. So here's that 7-day forecast to show you that trend that is going downward. Take a look here. Monday, 102 for you, 100 by Tuesday. Monsoon officially ends on Wednesday, even though we really haven't seen much action at all. If you take a look at that 7-day forecast, mostly sunny skies, no rain chances in sight. Your lows in the mid to low 70s for you in those morning hours.
Giving Arizonans a second chance through the Second Chance Bike Drop. Earlier, I was at Earnhardt Lexus encouraging people to donate bikes, all to benefit St. Vincent de Paul. And tomorrow is the big day. You can donate a new or used bike at any Earnhardt Auto location.
All right, plenty of football to talk about coming up in sports. What's at stake for the Cardinals Sunday against the Detroit Lions and ASU head coach Herm Edwards on the Pac-12's return?
Our current president has failed. He's failed to protect us. He's failed to protect America. As president, I'll make you a promise. I'll protect America without exception every time. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
China is using space to expand its military reach, and former astronaut Mark Kelly did business with Chinese interests, building his company with an undisclosed sum from a company called an arm of the Chinese Communist Party. Mark Kelly sold out to China. Kelly tried to downplay it, but he was far more involved. Kelly was instrumental in securing the communist Chinese investment. Mark Kelly, China, cash, corruption. Senate Leadership Fund is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Arizona has some of the worst air quality in the country, but Martha McSally's dishonest claims are enough to make you choke. McSally promised to protect our health, but took $1 million from corporate polluters and voted to gut clean air protections. She even voted to let insurance companies deny care for people with pre-existing conditions like asthma and cancer. Martha McSally, her dishonesty is sickening. EDF Action Votes is responsible for the content of this advertising.
Mark Kelly's a natural-born hype man. He hiked products in China, super shady. Then he brought the hype to Tucson, promising hundreds of jobs to send people into space. The county got tricked into paying $15 million. Kelly broke his promise. They sent nobody to space. Nobody. The job count never happened, but Kelly's company kept the cash. Mark Kelly for Senate? Don't believe the hype.
NRC is responsible for the content of this advertising.
America's got a knack for getting up when we're not down. So let's not just rebuild our economy, let's reinvent it and make it work for everyone. Small businesses are job generators, so let's give them access to capital and loans so they can put more people to work. And we should expand training for high-tech careers to help folks land good-paying jobs. When we support our small businesses, we always come out on top. I'm Mark Kelly, and I approve this message.
An incredible oasis of action and indulgence is coming.
ABC tonight. He's been getting in shape, challenging his mind, defending his crops. Now the most relatable voice in late night is back in studio, and he's got plenty to say. Jimmy Kimmel Live, all night tonight on ABC.
Cut, cut, cut. What politicians did for a decade, cutting education funding by hundreds of millions. Now, a crisis-level teacher shortage, a teacher pay nearly the lowest in the nation, and class sizes the largest in history. So vote yes on Prop 208. 208 restores the cuts, tackles
grab
the
ya.
teacher shortage, and reduces class sizes. Because 99.9% of Prop 208 funds directly support schools and classrooms. Strong schools, a stronger economy, the strongest accountability. Oh yes, on 208.
We can't deal with an economic crisis until you beat the pandemic. You can't have an economic comeback when almost 1,000 Americans die each day from COVID. Mr. President, do your job. I'm Joe Biden, and I approve this message.
ABC 15 Sports, sponsored by Sanderson Ford.
Well, to emphasize the need to get off to a good start this season, Cliff Kingsbury posted the Cardinals' record in the first month of the previous seasons on the board for all to see in training camp. They had 2 wins over the last 4 Septembers. 2! They win Sunday against the Lions, would of course give them 3 this year alone, and give the franchise just its 12th 3-0 start ever. Kyler Murray, an early entrant in the MVP conversation, considering he's the first quarterback in the Super Bowl era to throw for more than 500 and rush for more than 150 through the first 2 games of the season.
You slide off a little bit, I mean, he'll run right past you, and, you know, he's so unique in that regard. You know, he's dynamic and the most dynamic player in the National Football League right now.
Now, be without his slot weapon on Sunday, Christian Kirk has been ruled out with a groin injury that Cliff Kingsbury said he hopes isn't long-term. All right, the Pac-12 Conference has taken its lumps for the way its commissioner in particular has handled a variety of issues. But on the issue of a return-to-play plan, Sun Devils head coach Herm Edwards applauded the conference decision-makers for their methodical approach. And now the Sun Devils gear up for a 7-game sprint starting 6 weeks from today.
What was going to happen? We had to make sure the 2021 season would not be affected. But we don't know what this is going to look like 2 months from now, or months from now, or a week from now. We're going week to week. You're just, I mean, they shut the Golden Dome down. I mean, really? You can't shut the Golden Dome down. They shut them down.
Of course, Notre Dame is who he's talking about. They're supposed to take on Wake Forest tomorrow. It's one of several games canceled due to positive tests. Hey, just 2 games left in the D-backs season after tonight. How fast did that go? If only they swung the bats like they did today all season. In a doubleheader sweep of the Rockies, the D-backs scored 15 runs on 22 hits. All right, to the hardwood we go. NBA Eastern Conference Finals. Miami looked well on their way to closing out the Celtics in 5 games, but Boston put up a 41-point third quarter. That kept the Celtics season alive. Jason Tatum with 31 points to lead the way. And on the ice, the Tampa Bay Lightning 1 win away from lifting Lord Stanley as they took a 3-1 lead on the Dallas Stars, thanks to Kevin Shattenkirk's overtime winner. You can see there, Tyler Seguin, not too happy with the loss, taking it out on his stick. That's going to be several $100 worth of damage, Steve.
Yeah, they're going to wrap up this season here, and then 2 months down the road, start another season, I think.
They're talking about pushing it back to maybe January, so we could have a little more time.
We'll see.
Yeah.
Saluting a national hero. It's a fitting celebration marking one special day.
Read the fine print in Prop 208? Prop 208 contains the biggest permanent tax increase in Arizona history. But what Prop 208 doesn't do is guarantee how much money will actually reach the classroom. Just 55 cents of every dollar we spend makes it to the classroom. And Arizona spends $1 billion on administration and overhead. Prop 208, a massive tax increase with no guarantees. Read the fine print and vote no on Prop 208.
I kept wondering how come I had so much pain in my knees and my back. The solution was the arch support. Who would have thought that the pain that I was having had anything to do with my feet?
Find what you've been missing at the Good Feet store.
I'm Mark Kelly, and I approve this message.
Martha McSally's list of lies just keeps growing. Independent sources say McSally's attack ads on Mark Kelly are a lie and desperate. But McSally's most dangerous lies are about her healthcare record. The truth? McSally voted to gut or eliminate protections for pre-existing conditions. Again and again. She voted for a plan to turn Medicare into a voucher program. And she even supported raising the retirement age. We just can't trust Martha McSally to tell the truth.
Well, YouTube, this is going on the video tonight. Until next time, stay safe and COVID-19. Take care. Bye.
Sending water to 3,000 remote watering sites. With your support, they can give wildlife a fighting chance.